How's it going, bro? Um, I wanted to share something that's been on my mind, and I think it's something that'll help me and you change into the people we want to become. And I don't really want to talk too much. I want to get straight to the point. The general message behind this video is accepting yourself, right? And I'm not talking surrendering, and just giving up on your circumstances. I just think that me as a person, I live my life from a mental state that's so far from my reality. Let me explain. So I just see myself as someone, or I expect of myself to be hyper productive, not waste time and not eat bad food and these things like that. I live with these expectations every single day. And of course, as someone who is a procrastinator, I eat bad food. I mean, for the past week, my food has been horrible. I've been eating takeout every single day. And I have a massive sweet tooth, and I've been just ordering sweets every single day for the past week. Honestly, it's just been horrible. But every day I wake up resetting that and expecting of myself to change, right? And while that may be a good thing, my mental state is up here, but my current reality, like the way I'm actually living is down here. So this huge gap just causes so much, it just delays the progress by so much just because of that huge gap. It's kind of, I try to convince myself that I'm up there, right? But really I'm not. It's just my ego telling me that I'm somebody who's hyper productive. And like it's beyond, this is not just I'm not talking about affirmations. I'm talking like expectations I have of myself. So one thing I want, and I journaled about this today, I want to, something that has been helpful for me is to just take a step back and recognize who you are. Because once you take a step back and understand who you are and what you like, the reality you're currently living in, the way you live your life will improve by so much because now your mental and your reality are aligned. And once they are aligned, you can just build a new reality with your actions and your mental so that you will slowly, slowly go up. Now, me personally, one thing I have a problem, or one thing I found hard to accept, and maybe I still do, is my body, right? Now, I'm not someone who is, very unfit, but I don't think my aesthetic matches the level of strength that I have. Not that I'm crazy strong or anything, but I just think that as someone who's been, you know, maybe more on the active side, I don't represent it, and this is all the consequence of my choices, by the way. Not to blame any external factors, but so every day I just kind of look at myself and I talk to myself in a very negative way, right? So I'm just like slamming myself, hammering myself with like negative comments and just like things that I wouldn't tell to anyone, which is something that is another problem, right? I think I can address this deeply in a different video, but I really think that talking to yourself the way you would talk to someone else, or the way you would talk to your best friend or your family member or whoever it may be, you should treat yourself the same way, if not better. How do you expect yourself to change if you hammer yourself with negativity, which reinforces the belief that you are whatever you tell yourself, whether it's a loser or like you're, I don't know, fat or whatever it may be. The more you tell yourself this, the more it will reinforce that belief in yourself, which will cause you to go back to the bad habits that you use as a coping mechanism. So, some active steps that I've been taking to kind of accept myself. This morning, I talked about journaling. I journaled, and the prompt was, "What's something," or so it goes along the lines of, "What's a part of yourself that you're struggling to accept?" And for me, one of the parts is my body, right? So I journaled about that, and you know, I think it's really helpful. That's one thing. Another thing you may be able to do, which will help you kind of accept yourself more and just, kind of just be okay with who you are, right? Is positive reinforcement. Talk to yourself nicely. Don't hammer yourself with negativity. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to somebody else in the same situation you are in. And sometimes, yes, you have to be harsh with yourself, but harshness is not doesn't come from a place of rudeness, right? At least that's how I view myself. When I'm harsh on myself, I'm outright rude instead of being like constructively criticizing someone, you know. So that's I'm just hammering myself with negativity, which is very bad. I think one message that is important for me and you to understand is that things we are exactly where we need to be, and we are enough as we are. And this sounds cheesy and corny and whatever you think it is, but like if you don't internalize that, you will always be living in a state of anxiety or ingratitude or just guilt and shame. It's okay to mess up, right? But it's not okay to stay in that state. That's what don't confuse these two things. Accepting and like being what's the word? And just being careless. This is two different things. When you accept yourself, you kind of soak in the reality that you're in so that you can better propel yourself forward. So accepting yourself is kind of like I don't know, a launch pad to your self improvement, right? But not giving a crap is kind of just I'm unfit. I might as well just stay that way. No, that's not what I'm talking about. So once you see yourself as worthy, as enough, as these things put you in a much better mental state to be living your life from. Because you can, to a certain extent, you can choose how you live your life, whether you live in an angry state, a happy state, whatever it may be. But every day that you, every day there's this mental gap that I was referring to. Every day that you wake up in that state, you're trying to live from here when in reality you're down here. Not to put you down or anything because I'm not any better. But every day you live with that gap in mind. It's a lot less easy. It's a lot less easy to change. It's a lot less easy to transform your life in the way you want it to go. You know what? I have to accept myself as someone who's unproductive, as someone who is dealing with certain bad habits, whether it's related to food or related to your physique. I have to accept that in order for me to change that. So I guess one more time, my message to you would be is to learn slowly but surely to accept yourself and the reality that you're in. Because if you try to hide and deny and just wear a mask behind who you are, it'll just tear you apart. You'll just keep digging a deeper and deeper hole to yourself without even knowing it. Because you're just trying to fit into so many different people, you're trying to be super productive, super, I don't know, super fit. And these things are great, by the way. But just expecting that from yourself every single day when nothing has been changing, maybe sometimes you have to take a step back and, in a way, bring your ego down to who you actually are. And then tell yourself, okay, this is where I currently am. What do I need to do to get there? Instead of thinking that you're already up there. That's my message for you, bro. Take care. Much love.